Freshman member of Congress, Republican Lauren Boebert, is once again in the news, and it's once again for a reason that nobody would want to be in the news. She is now potentially facing an ethics investigation into the possibility that she may have misused campaign funds to illegally reimburse non-existent expenses. Again, we do not know anything at the moment. This is all suspected. Nothing has been proven at all. But here is what the Denver Post has reported. Boebert reimbursed herself $22,259 from her campaign accounts for mileage between January and mid-November. So starting at the beginning of last year and going all the way through, I guess, a week or so after the election. Denver Post continues. To justify those reimbursements, again, $22,000 in mileage, Boebert would have had to drive 38,712 miles while campaigning, despite having no publicly advertised campaign events in March, April, or July, and only one in May. So 4 months she did one thing. Furthermore, because the reimbursements came in two payments, a modest $1,060 at the end of March and $21,200 on November 11th, Boebert would have had to drive 36,870 miles in just over 7 months between April 1st and November 11th to justify the second payment. So investigators, or ethics experts, I guess they would prefer to be called, are looking at this like, yeah, that's not possible. Like when somebody is campaigning, all of that stuff, there are very clear records of it because there has to be very clear records of it for actually this reason, to make sure that every dollar spent on this campaign is actually campaign related. And if it turns out that you're billing your campaign, you may have paid out of pocket for the mileage, and yes, that would be a reimbursable expense from your campaign. Nothing wrong with that. Unless, of course, you're padding the bill a little bit. Did Lauren Boebert actually drive, 36,000 miles? In just a few months? It seems unlikely. Colorado is not a tiny state, but it's not like you're having to drive up and down the length of California or drive all around Texas. You can do Colorado in a day. You can do Colorado in pretty much a half a day, depending on the weather. $38,000 is a lot. Or excuse me, $22,000 is a lot. 38,000 miles is a bit ridiculous, especially, again, considering we can verify you had no events for basically 4 whole months. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Everything you did, there is a record of. So this should be an easy investigation if they choose to go that route. Again, an investigation has not formally been launched. They are starting to look at this and saying, wait a minute, things aren't adding up. So hopefully they do launch an investigation, because every time you have somebody with this much money just kicking around, it starts to raise questions. Maybe it's all on the level, who knows? But the one thing this does underscore, by the way, more than anything else, is the fact that we got to get this money out of politics. We've got to make this system to where you can't even attempt to abuse it. Because right now, it really is the Wild West when it comes to campaign finance laws. And it takes a lot. It takes a very greedy and careless individual to actually get popped violating the very few rules that exist for campaign finance.